So, a little bit of a different thing going on. I get to see mom today. Got to talk to her first and was super excited because we could have a conversation and like talk. Uh, she just wasn't just yes or no or anything like that. She was obviously very upset and concerned, but she wanted me to come get her. Obviously, I couldn't. So, thinking like everything went well, going about my day, thinking, I'm gonna go to work tonight and she's gonna be on the mend, get a phone call at around 5 o'clock saying that they are moving her to ICU because she's lost a lot of blood and she's been throwing up. So, we argue all the time. Like, all the time. And it's like a tug of war to get her to take care of herself and want to be responsible for just herself. And it's more effort and more um, it's hard. It's hard to do when I'm not sick, and it's hard to do when I am sick. And she often battles with the will to want to continue, which I can understand to a certain extent. I'm not, on dialysis. I don't have all of the health issues that she does have. I didn't live the life she's lived. And that's just like another level of frustration. And so you just feel this inherent guilt because you're angry all the time. And you don't want, obviously, it to end, on an angry note. But it's like a constant fluctuation of anger. So when I was sick or when I get sick, it's often kind of pushed aside because you have other people in your life that have conditions that are chronic, and it's kind of like a business as usual thing. And that makes you angry as well. Just angry, frustrated, tired, sad, sick. So often when I get sick, other people get sick too, or place more emphasis on their issues, which are chronic. And that just is another layer of, cake. That's your life. She got tested like 3 days before I did. She was supposed to have a procedure. Ended up not having the procedure because she was afraid, and answered obviously the question that had she been exposed, even though I was isolated, constantly wore a mask, cleaned up after myself, anything I touched, whatnot. But days leading up to it, just she didn't want to have this procedure. It was putting tubes in her ears so she could hear. just opening them up a little bit. She doesn't like any procedures. She doesn't like surgery. I mean, who does? I get it. But these are things that she needed to do to help herself. And this was a very low, um, how do I want to say it? Like the outcome, they weren't afraid that, it was going to be terrible. She got cleared by the anesthesiologist after having, the heart attacks. So just her concentrating on the fact that it was a procedure, surgery, and she didn't want to do it. I mean, we're talking like it was a constant neuroses, like every conversation. I don't want to do it. I don't want to have another surgery. I don't want to do it. I'm afraid. So then everything in combination, was what she used to not do it, And I was upset. I just get upset because to me, it's just like, this is one more thing that you're not going to do to help yourself. You're not doing this for anybody else but you. I need you, and I need you to do this. I need you to help yourself. And I constantly say this. And, I said, what, you're not sick, right now. My illness is not about you. I am sick. You are fine. You need to do this. You need to go to dialysis. You need to have this procedure. So that didn't happen, obviously. Didn't the procedure? No. Got tested the Wednesday before last. Today would be day 15 for me. They monitored everything. So like the health department monitored because she was high risk, which is understandable. She said she had lost her taste for food, and meaning not the sense of taste. She can still taste it. She can still smell it. She just didn't want to eat. And she goes through that periodically, just because when your organs aren't working like they're supposed to, a lot of your chemicals, your body, it just changes. And if you don't feel like eating, you don't feel like eating. She would go a day without eating. I couldn't force her. I couldn't even get her to drink water on a regular basis, and you need that to survive. And I know you have to limit your intake of liquids on dialysis, but like 4 ounces of water is not going to harm you. You need water to produce things for your body. And she would rather drink a tea or a soda or something, and it's another layer of cake. And you can think, okay, you're just trying to rationalize your guilt, and that's fine. It's fine. But she is stable now, and they have stopped bleeding. There was bleeding. She's vomiting, but it's like a kind of like a dry heave. It sounds really gross, but she's okay in a sense where she's stable. Blood levels are fine. They've got it capped. We've made it very firm and clear. No blood whatsoever, except fractions of her own blood, but no transfusions. I was able to hold her hand while I was there, tell her how strong she is. She's been, I just don't get it. She's been through not one, but 2 abusive husbands. Parents, family, insane. These people, can't, like, mentally deal with it. Countless surgeries, procedures. She's so strong. So strong. A 20-year marriage to an abusive sociopath, and another, I don't even know how long she was married. She's been married to this loser, ex-military, Navy, whatever, addict, recovering, that's not love. That's not love at all. That's another layer of cake. Why do you choose cake? You used to love cake. Not so much. Not so much anymore. And I told her how strong she is. Just strong. It's just sheer strength to endure that for almost 60 years. It's just, a lot of people would have given up. A lot of people haven't and would. But I don't want her to, ever. And even though we argue all the time, I don't know if it's because, like, you get to a point, I think guys might get to it earlier, like, or it's depicted that men get to it, earlier, like, get around 18, 16, whatever, average, where they're constantly butting heads with their dad. The mom's always on the sidelines, like, I don't know what happened, your father, he's just trying, whatever, and, they get angsty and filled with whatever, and need to leave the house, they flee the nest. And women, they're like, oh, women mature faster and whatever. I think we get to it, like, later, and it's one of those things that I thought was very natural to me, to want to leave, move, go other places, see other things, pick up and start over, start new. And that wasn't for my mom, so that caused another kind of like headbutting kind of situation. Like, she was mad at me for years for moving out, and I was like 25. I was like 26 or something, moving out on my own, and she went from living with her parents and, some siblings to being married and living with her husband. Whereas I was living on my own for a while. Like, the first week was miserable because all I had was like an air mattress, a cat that poked a hole in it, and, I was literally by myself. But I got accustomed to it. And that was always kind of like a cause for friction. I was the one that had the car, and a car. I was the only one that was driving at that point in time. She was losing her sight, and some other issues. Financially it was a struggle, and I understand that, but that wasn't me doing that because I wanted them to suffer. And then her health was obviously declining, like, internally her kidneys were getting worse, just a lot worse. And then her new leech of a husband came into the picture after I left, or fairly quickly, not too slow after I left. So, she's still on my sister, obviously, but that wasn't enough grounding for her to be okay. She needed more, and I can't judge, even though that was a struggle for me. conceptually to understand, because I just didn't. I mean, no, I refused to understand that. And so, like, it was kind of like a slap in the face, like an insult to her for me to leave, bottom line. And I had to pay for that several years over, constantly reminded. So I think that's always kind of like in the back of her head. I mean, we struggled in our relationship before then. Ever since my parents got divorced, I didn't miss my dad. I kind of questioned why she stayed with him as long as she did. That sounds really horrible, but he was terrible. He's a terrible man. And it was kind of always like, well, you stay together for the kids. Well, we were 16 and 18, and it was time. 15 maybe. And that was a whole other bag of wet cats. And so there's always this kind of like underlying, not animosity, that's a really strong word, between myself and her. It was just kind of like, why do you make these decisions? It just didn't make sense to me. And to be fairly young and kind of have that realization is very difficult. And I think that was just kind of like building and brewing. And it's always in the back of my mind. Why do you make these decisions? Why do you do these things? And I don't know if I have a right to even think that, but it's kind of always there. Like, this sounds really harsh, but after the first child, after, why? If the person is showing signs of abuse, that is abusive, and is a psychopath, has a personality disorder, why would you have another one? And maybe that's just a very jaded way to look at it. Because I do appreciate being alive, but it's always there. It's always like looming, over me. Like, yeah. So, anyways, that's a totally different conversation. But Mom's stable. The staff in this unit are 1,000 times more empathetic, professional, polite. So Tiana and Sarah, thank you. Brother Moore and Brother Johnson, thank you. Jehovah, thank you, obviously. So they're gonna keep me updated. Erdell, always, thank you. Yeah. So, she's gonna get through tonight. I know she is. And, obviously not going to work tonight. Gonna try to do some practicing to help, like a really bad headache. And I don't know if that's because I didn't eat like a lot or didn't drink caffeine because I was waiting to do that overnight so I could stay awake. So, thank you, Audrey. I can't forget my sister. Her sister. Because when she is able to be herself, she's very strong. When I'm not. our relationship has gotten better since we've gotten older. There's, you know, sibling rivalry a lot when we were younger. And now that we're older, I think we appreciate each other differently, better, more, whatever you want to call it. So she's definitely my built-in friend. Probably somebody that I would consider a best friend, other than, you know, Nugget. So that's it. We'll upload this so you can look back on this and say it's okay. Because that's the point. That's why we're doing these video diary things. Because, you know, it's gonna be okay. Things will get better. Yes, they will. They will get better. And better things will change. They will be positive. Yeah. This isn't the end.